All right, so how to factor this polynomial expression? So it's a third degree polynomial since the highest exponent is cube. So here in this case it is having a common x here, so we can take out the x. So it will be like this: x 2x squared minus 14x plus 24. All right, so another common with these three terms is they are all divisible by 2. So we can take out the 2. So, and then what's left inside is x squared, and then half of 14 is 7 because we divided by 2 since we take out the 2. And 24 divided 2 is 12. And then, all right, so there's nothing in common to take out. And now we can factor it out as quadratic expression. So how do we factor this? We have x squared minus 7x plus 12. So we're going to compute it separately. So we have x and x, which is a factor of x squared, and then factor of 12. There are many ways to write it, but we can choose -3 and -4 because if you're going to do cross multiplication, you have -3x and -4x. If you combine it, it's -7x, which is the same as this. That's what we are after. So that means the factored form of this is x minus 3, x minus 4, which is this: x minus 3, x minus 4. So we're going to continue with our factored form. So this can be factored as x minus 3 times x minus 4. So that means if you multiply x minus 3 and x minus 4, it will go back to this. So this is now the factored form. So let's have another one. We have 3x cubed minus 6x plus 3x squared. So we always arrange it first. Arrange the polynomial into according to the exponent of the x. So you have 3x cubed and then the plus 3x squared and then the minus 6x. So there's no constant in here, same as the previous one. So we have a common x in the three terms, so we can take out the x. So we have 3x squared plus 3x minus 6 since we take out the 1x. And then another common to the three terms are all the three are divisible by 3, so you can take out the 3. So what's left is x squared plus x minus 6 divided 3 is 2. And then there's nothing, no more common in the three terms inside the parentheses, so we can just factor it as quadratic expression x squared plus x minus 2. So you can factor x squared as x and x. -2, we can factor it as 2 and -1. So that if you cross multiply this, it will be 2x and -1x. If you combine it, it's positive 1x or just simply x, which is the same as this, and that's what we are after. So that means the factored form of this is x plus 2 times x minus 1, which is the same as this. So let us continue. Our factored form will be so just copy this first. So 3x times x plus 2 times x minus 1. So which is this one. Okay, so let's factor this. We have x squared minus 6x squared plus 12 minus 2x. So we're going to arrange it first according to the exponent of the x. So we have x cubed minus 6x squared minus 2x plus 12. And then we are going to factor this first using the synthetic division. So in synthetic division, we're going to choose a number. So usually we do guess and check or trial and error in putting the number in that box. But usually we to lessen the number of possible numbers to put in here. So you're going to divide this and the number here, but since there's no number, it means it's 1. So you just need to use this, which are the factors of 12. So what are the factors of 12? Which is 1, 1 and 12, of course, 3 and 4, 2 and 6, and then that's it. And also the positive and negative signs of those. So you can arrange it from 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, and 12, both the positive and negative. So there are so many of it. Like for example, if you're going to try, so this is how you set up if you don't know the synthetic division. So the x cubed, there's no number on that. It means it's 1. For the x squared, it's the negative 6, then negative 2, and then 12. So just basically remove the x, or the coefficient, the literal coefficient. So I'll just use another color for this. So we have here the box, and then the 1, negative 6, negative 2, and 12. And then we're going to start with 1, and then later negative 1, 1, and then, so you're going to put here what you're aiming is for the end part will be 0 in this. It means there's no remainder, because this is what you call the remainder when you divide. So now what you're going to do is to copy the first one and then multiply this 2. 1 times 1 is 1, and put it here. And then do the same procedure. Negative 6 plus 1 is negative 5. Then you multiply this and negative 5, so it will be negative 5. And then negative 2 plus negative 5 is negative 7. And then 1 times negative 7 is negative 7. So it will end up with a remainder. So that means 1 is not the number that we are looking for to get the factor. So you have to do trial and error until such time that it's going to be 0. So like for example, if you continue with negative 1, then 1, negative 1 times negative 1 is negative 1. Negative 6 and negative 1 combined, it's negative 7. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7. Negative 2 plus 7 is positive 5. And negative 1 times 5 is negative 5. So it will end up with a remainder. So that means negative 1 is not the number that we are looking for. So we're going to continue doing that. But as I said, there are so many numbers to possibly put here. That's why we are having this, so that we are only limiting those numbers to put on that box until such time you get the answer. But since I already factored this problem, so I already know what to put here. So the number that you're going to put here is actually 6, which is this one. So of course you're going to end up with 6 and negative 6, but it will take time for you to do that. So if you put 6 there, it will be 1. 6 times 1 is 6. Negative 6 plus 6 is 0. 6 times 0 is 0. So combine negative 2 and 0 is negative 2. And 6 times negative 2 is negative 12. Still going to have this as a remainder. So that means 6 is the number that we are looking for. So that means one of the factors of this is x minus 6. So if this is positive, you're going to put here minus. It's like you're putting the opposite. So if that is minus 6, then you put x plus 6. So it's just the opposite sign. So as I said, if it's minus 6, then you put here x plus 6. So since it's a positive 6, then we're going to put in the factored form as x minus 6. And then here, the 1 here means x squared. The 0 means 0x, and then the negative 2 means just a constant, negative 2. So that means the x minus 6 will be multiplied with x squared plus 0x, or you may not put it anymore because it's 0, and then the minus 2. Alright, so now the factored form of this will be this, x minus 6 times x squared minus 2. Then can we continue factoring x squared minus 2? No, it can't be factored anymore. So the factored form is this, x minus 6 times x squared minus 2. Now let us factor this one. So it is arranged in according to the exponent of the variable x, so it's already arranged. Now you just need to do synthetic division to find the first factor. So we're gonna have the box for the factor that we're looking for, and then we're gonna write the numerical coefficients of x cubed, which is 1. For x squared it's 5. For x it's -3, and for constant which is -15. And now the factors, or we call it p over q, which is, this is the p and this is the q, but the q is 1, so yeah, so it won't matter anymore for the q. So it will be 1 and 15, of course, 3 and 5, because 3 times 5 is 15, and then that's it. So here, with this idea, you are limiting the number of choices to trial and error. So it's 1, 3, 5, and 15, but of course positive and negative of that. So if you're going to try again, how do you use synthetic division? So if you try 1, then it's going to be copy the first one, which is 1, and then 1 times multiply this 2. 1 times 1 is 1. 5 combine 5 and 1 is 6, and then multiply 6 times 1 is 6. Then -3 plus 6 is +3, and then 3 times 1 is 3. So it will give you a remainder, so it's not 0. What you're after is to get a 0 here. It should be 0. So that means 1 is not the number that we are looking for. So you just keep on trying. You try -1 and 1, -1 and -3 and +3, -5 and +5, -15 and +15, as long as you get the remainder 0. But since I already factored this, which is I have found out that the number that we are looking for is the -5. So if you try -5, it will be 1, and then -5 times 1 is -5. And then here is 0. 0 times -5 is 0. And then -3. Then -3 times -5 is +15. So if you combine this, that will be 0. So that means one of the factors of the given is, since this is negative, so it's going to be x plus 5. You write the opposite sign, and then times. So this is the first coefficient, so it will be x squared, and then this is the 0x, and then this is constant -3. So we're gonna put x squared minus 3, and then you're gonna continue if this can be factored. But since x squared minus 3 can't be factored anymore, it's not a difference of 2 squares, and then just leave it as the final answer. So the factored form of this given is x plus 5 times x squared minus 3. Okay, so we're going to factor this another problem. We have x cubed minus 2x squared minus 16x plus 32. So it is already arranged. Now we're going to use synthetic division. So let us use another color for that. So we have the box for the synthetic division, and then the numerical coefficients 1, -2, -16, and 32. All right, so the p over q here, so this is p and q. So q is 1, so you may not put any more the denominator, because 32 divided by 1 is just itself. So it can be 1 and 32, because 1 times 32 is 32. 2 and 16, and 3, 4, and 8, And then I think that's it. So if we arrange it in order, that will be 1, 2, 1, 2, 4, 8, 16, and 32. All right, so let's remove that. Of course, the positive and negative of all of this. So there are a lot of possible numbers to put here on the box. So how do we find the factor? So you have to do trial and error, as I said, and let's say if you do try 1 again, for example, so it will be 1 times 1 is 1, negative 2 plus 1 is negative 1, 1 times negative 1 is negative 1, negative 16 plus negative 1 is negative 17, and 1 times negative 17 is negative 17. So it will not be 0. So in fact, it will be 12, 15. So it is not 0. So it's not 1 that we are looking for. So I'm showing to how to do that, but actually the number that we are looking for is actually either 2. Yeah, the smallest number is 2. So try 2. And then here 1. 1 times 2 is 2. Negative 2 and 2 is 0. And 0 times 2 is 0. Then negative 16. 2 times negative 16 is negative 32. So 32 and negative 32 is 0. So we have a remainder of 0. So that means 2 is a factor. So that means the one of the factors of the given is x, and then since it's positive 2, so we put here minus 2. We write the opposite sign. And then here 1 is the x squared, and then x 0 is the 0x, so you don't need to write that. And then the negative 16 is the constant, so negative 16. So x minus 2 times x squared minus 16, but we're not yet done since x squared minus 16 can be factored. So the x squared minus 16, it can be written as x squared minus 4 squared. It's a difference of 2 squares because 16 is 4 squared. Where if you factor a difference of 2 squares, it will be x minus 4 times x plus 4. So if you do FOIL method, multiply x minus 4 and x plus 4, it will go back to x squared minus 16. So the factored form of the x minus 2, the x squared minus 16 is x minus 4 times x plus 4. So the factored form of the given is x minus 2 times x minus 4 times x plus 4. Alright, so let us factor this one, x cubed plus 4x squared minus 36x minus 144. So it is arranged in order already, so we just need to do the synthetic division. We have 1, 4, negative 36x, or it's just negative 36 and negative 144. And then now we have P and Q here. Q is 1, so just factor of, you just need the factors of 144. So there are a lot of factors of 144 because it's divisible by 1, by 2, by 3, by 4. What else? It's divisible by 6, and also by 12, and 144, 48. Yeah, so there are many numbers to use. Of course, the positive and negative of those numbers. So you do trial and error until you get the value here in the box. But I'll just jump directly to the correct box, correct value to use here. Of course, it's not only it doesn't have to be only one possible number to put in the box that will give you a 0 remainder. There are 3 possible numbers. but I will just show you the smallest one, which is the -4. So we have 1 for the first one, so -4 times 1 is -4, 4 and -4 is 0, 0 times -4 is 0, -36 and 0 is -36, then -4 times -36 is +144, which is having you remainder of 0. So that means one of the factors is x, since it's negative, so you put the opposite sign, which is +4. And then times the 1, which is 1x squared, or just simply x squared. And then the 0 is 0x, you don't need to write that, and then the -36. So, and then we continue, since x squared minus 36 can be factored. So why is it factorable? It's because the x squared minus 36 can be written as x squared minus 6 squared. It's a difference of 2 squares. So that means the factored form for this is x minus 6 times x plus 6. So that means the final factor will be x plus 4 times x minus 6 times x plus 6. So this 2, by the way, is interchangeable. Okay, so let us factor this polynomial. So we have x cubed minus 3x squared minus 2x plus 6. So we're going to use a synthetic division for this. So we have the box, and then the x cubed is 1, -3, -2, and +6. So I'm going to do trial and error for this to put here in the box. We don't know what are the you don't know yet what is the number, so you have to do trial and error. But you can lessen the number to put there by using this idea that this is the p and the coefficient here is the q. So you divide 6 and 1 is just 6, and then get the factors of 6, which is 1 times 6, 1, 6, 2, and 3. Then so that means it's 1, 2, 3, and 6, the positive and negative of all of those factors. So at least you have lesser choices to try, but I will just show you directly what is the least number that can give you a remainder of 0. It is actually a +3. So it will be 1, and then 1 times 3 is 3, -3 plus 3 is 0, 0 times 3 is 0, and then -2 and 0 is -2, and then 3 times -2 is -6. So it's giving you a remainder of 0. So that means the 3 is the correct factor that we are looking for. So if this is positive, then the factored form will be the opposite sign, which is minus, or the negative sign. And then this one will be x squared, 0x, and the -2. So x squared, and then the 0x, so you don't need to write that, and then the -2. And then is x squared minus 2 can be factored? It's not, because it's not factorable, since 2 is not as a perfect square. So that means the factored form is x minus 3 times x squared minus 2. Alright, so now let us factor this. We have x cubed minus 4x squared minus x plus 4. So we are going to use synthetic division to factor this, to find the first factor, which is having numerical coefficients 1, -4, -1, and 4. So, and then you have this as p and q. So you divide p and q, 4, divide 1 is 4. So that means you just need to use the factors of 4, which is 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 2 is 2. So 1, 2, and 4. So the positive and negative of this. So these are the possible numbers to put in the box. All right, so the smallest number actually uh, is negative 1. You can actually use negative 1 or positive 1. So I'll just use positive 1. It's not the smallest, obviously. So we can have 1, and then 1 times 1 is 1. Negative 4 and positive 1 is negative 3. Then 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. Negative 1 and negative 3 is negative 4. And 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. So combining 4 and negative 4 is 0. So there we have a 0 remainder. So that means 1 is part of the factors. So it will be x minus 1. It's the opposite sign. And then, so the 1 will be the x squared, and then the negative 3 will be the minus 3x, and then the minus 4. And then we're going to continue factoring if it can still be factored. X squared minus 3x minus 4. Let's try to check if it can be factored using the factoring quadratic expression. So we have x and x. So and factor of negative 4 is there are many ways to write that, but we can have negative 4 and positive 1 because if you cross multiply this, it will be negative 4x and positive 1x. So if you combine that, so if you add this to a negative, it will be negative 3x, which is the same as here. So the factored form of this is the x minus 4 times x plus 1. So which is this, x minus 4, x plus 1. So the factored form will be x minus 1 times x minus 4 times x plus 1. So you can basically rearrange the three factors. It will still be the same, or it still be correct, even if you rearrange the three factors. Okay, so let us factor this. We have x cubed minus 8x squared plus 4x plus 48. So it is arranged in order already, so we can just move to synthetic division. We have 1, negative 8, 4, and 48. And then I'm going to figure out the number to put in the box. Do trial and error. But I'll just show you the smallest number that can be put there so that you'll get a remainder of 0. That is negative 2. But of course, if you don't know that yet, then you have to start from 1 and then negative 1, 2, and negative 2, and so on, as long as it's a factor of this, which is 48. All right, so it will be 1. 1 times negative 2 is negative 2. And then negative 8 plus negative 2 is negative 10. Negative 10 times negative 2 is positive 20. And then 4 plus 20 is 24. And 24 times negative 2 is negative 48. So it will be a remainder of 0. So that means the negative 2 is part of the factors. So it will be x plus 2. And then times this, which is the x squared, and then this negative 10x, and then positive 24. So we're going to write it here, x squared minus 10x plus 24. Now can we factor the x squared minus 10x plus 24? So let's factor it here at the side, x squared minus 10x plus 24. So factor of x squared is x and x. Factor of 24, oh, there are many ways to write it, but we can choose the negative 6 and negative 4. So that when you cross multiply this, so negative 6x, negative 4x, so it will be negative 10x, which is the same as this. So the factored form of this is x minus 6, x minus 4. So that means the factored form of the answer is x plus 2 times x minus 6 times x minus 4. All right, so another one we have 6x cubed plus 13x squared minus 3x minus 10. So we have it's arranged in order already, so you can move to synthetic division. So it will be 6, 13, negative 3, and negative 10. And then we're going to try some numbers in the box so that you'll get a remainder of 0. But what are the possible numbers you can try? So this, if this is P and Q, so that means you can try a factor of 10, which is 1, 2, and 5, and then a factor of the ratio of the 10 and 6, so which is 10 over 6 is 5/3. Okay, so positive and negative of those. So also 2 over 3, positive and negative, 1 over 3. So you also try pairing the 3, which is the factor of 6, and also 5 over 2. But of course, you only try the fractions after trying the whole numbers or the integers. So do the integers first before the fractions, because it's more complicated to do this in synthetic division. So, all right. So, but I will show you the correct value for this. Actually, the smallest is -1. But of course, as I said, you have to do trial and error just in case if you don't know yet what should be put in the box. So it's -1 because if you put 6 here, 6 times -1 is -6. And then 13 minus 6 or 13 plus -6 is 7. 7 times -1 is -7. -3 plus -7 is -10. And -1 times -10 is +10. So if you combine the last part, it will be 0. So this is a 0 remainder. So that means -1 is the correct number that we are looking for. So that means one of the factors is x plus 1. It's the opposite sign of this. It's negative, so you put x plus 1. And then this will be the 6x squared plus 7x, and then the minus 10. So it will be 6x squared here plus 7x minus 10. Now can we factor out 6x squared plus 7x minus 10? Let us try. So we have here, so since it's the leading coefficient is not 1, so you have to do trial and error as well here. You have to find the correct pairs of 6 and 10 so that you will get this middle +7 when you do cross multiplication. So 6x squared, it can be factored as 3x and 2x, but I will just choose 6x and x. So as I said, you do have to do trial and error until you find the correct pairs. So, but the correct pair here is 6x and x. So as I said, you can try 3x and 2x, but it will not lead you to the correct value. So it's a trial and error. So, and then for the -10, I'm going to use -5 and +2, because -5 times 2 is -10. And then when you cross multiply, you should get the value +7. So x times -5 is -5x. 6x times 2 is 12x. So if you combine these two, -5 plus 12 is 7x, which is the same as this. That's what we're looking for. So that means the factored form of this is 6x minus 5 and x plus 2. So if you put it here as the final answer, it will be x plus 1 times 6x minus 5 times x plus 2. As I said, all these three factors can be interchanged. It will still be the same. So this is the factor of the given. So x plus 1 times 6x minus 5 times x plus 2.